This is Dan Max at XP Realty, aka the Trading Agent. Live market chat Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. Hopefully you are surviving. If you had to stop out, you stop out, define your risk, you do what you're doing. A little bit of confusing action going on for sure. And again, the market is not rational. Keep that in mind. We're going through some things which I think a lot of people may have seen before but don't remember. Because again, if you've been short, long, whatever, you've seen counter rallies that are aggressive either way. And sometimes they can be extremely confusing, difficult, frustrating, lots of emotions. And so let's talk about this, because I think right now, again, we're in this sequence where October seasonality is kicking in. Hey Pierre, I'm having a great day. You've got some people chasing the action, but it feels very reminiscent of what I would consider like a, as we talked about in the Discord room, the San Francisco earthquakes from the Jesse Livermore example, where like it hit, everyone saw it, and then the market didn't care for a couple days, and then you saw the real reaction. And I think that's kind of similar to what we should expect with what's going on in the Middle East. We already saw things slowing down before that, but now you've got travel, hotel, all sort of accommodations, all that kind of business slow down. You're going to have people making decisions based on higher, potentially sustainable oil prices, which I think a lot of people were really hoping that inflation would come down and the Feds are going to control that. At this point, it's not feeling very likely, especially if you have Middle East tensions. There's a whole lot of things. You could go into the facts or beliefs that you have, but ultimately, the long story short of it all is that this is pretty typical at times within a trend. And I hope people realize that. We talked about, what's up, Scotty? The oversold conditions can get unwound, and sometimes it takes time, and sometimes it's quick. Straight line moves lead to other straight line moves. So that's the only warning here, is just be careful. You literally don't know if one headline could turn this thing around, or it's the CPI on Thursday, or who knows? That's the question I challenge people with. So if you're long, trade it. If you're short, trade it. It's always one of those things, like the market is hard. It's just going to be hard sometimes, because if you feel like, again, if you bought oil yesterday and it's not up today, and it's like, well, see, exactly, this is why you don't really trade commodities. Or not trade, but chase them. Sorry, excuse me. And so you got to be careful here, because we don't know. And again, I think we do know. It looks like what's going on in the Middle East, sadly, is going to be going on for a while. You're seeing now Palestinian Day of Solidarity on Friday. And I'm not going to lie, that sounds like it's going to be rioting all over the world. That's what I'm hearing that's going to be. Now, I hope I'm dead wrong. Please, I hope I'm wrong. But if that is the case, just, what could happen here. This could get pretty ugly, especially if people who are taking to the streets for their side, which I am not a big fan of that kind of mentality here. So peace, love, all the good things, but that's not the world we live in. Unfortunately, the Middle East has been a place of constant confusion, battling, fighting way before we were around. So anyway, again, if you have any questions, please jump in. Please do not hesitate. Hope you guys, again, are surviving. This is not easy. This is the part about trading that sometimes just you don't know. And that's where I feel like, if you've been following the channel, I've had people come and go, and they get really mad when I'm like, just be careful. What do you do? I don't know if I would do that. And they get really mad when I'm like, okay, I wouldn't do that. And they're like, see, I was right. And it's like, dude, you're due to be right. This is a probability game. This isn't about ego. Oh, right, and who's wrong? That's just part of the game. As I always tell people, the more you're up, the less you own. Well, again, if you were shorting and you were pressing with deep in the money options, wrong. You should have been trading into more short dated, not short dated, but at the money, lower cost, profiting, paying yourself options, so that you're not in this position where you're like, well, I gave back money, I'm lower than when I started. Like, that is not how you do this. It's not how you do this. So there's a lot of people, again, who I sense they don't understand this. And I've been trying to show this in every recap, and here I'll just jump right into it. If you go look at a daily downtrend, same thing with uptrends, you get like multiple couple day pullbacks, right? Down 3 days, and bounce back. Here you go, 3 days. getting up to, into the gap. I highly doubt we have much more room to go. Someone said 438 early in the week. It kind of makes sense now. But I've showed this in the past, right? You get oversold, a couple days up, boom. A couple days up, boom, right? A couple days up, boom. A couple days up, boom, then chop. It's all very possible. So don't just sit here and assume. Now, again, could it be the start of an uptrend? I highly doubt it. But just because you see a couple days of up, don't sit here and go, oh, well, it's got to rip now. It's a new bull market. It's going back to the highs. Those folks drive me nuts because, again, it's like, think about it. Like, look at the past. You are now assuming the lower probability move. Remember, a straight line move in a trend, a counter trend straight line move is not usually bullish, right? Just like these straight line down moves real quick in an uptrend get bought right back, right? Here you go. It's like, and then, and at a lower high, again. I don't know how to say this without sounding mean or judgmental, but that's just the reality. Like, this is part of the move. And that's why we talk about when you get really oversold, you get the big counter rallies. And you can actually, like, that's when I actually expect to go a little bullish. Like, people got mad when I'd be like, yeah, you're super oversold. Get ready for a bigger bounce. You could actually buy some calls if you really want to, if the seasonality. Now, again, October, typically seasonally bullish, but I would argue it's not going to be because, again, there's so many factors coming and the recession that is like now 1,000% certain. And so many things coming up that just aren't bullish. Did anyone see Samsung's earnings? They're absolutely atrocious. Earnings down 80%. China has to do stimulus 8.0. I could talk about this for weeks. And it's just, again, people are so short-term thinking. Like, oh, well, today it's bullish, so it's a bull trend. Okay. Well, if that's what you believe, you go right ahead. And I'm telling you, that kind of belief and thought process is going to get you caught. Trade around your positions. TLT, inverse head and shoulders. I don't know where the shoulders are. That would be the left shoulder. This would be the head. I guess if you tried to do it I imagine on the hourly, it looks like one. I've said this 1,000 times with bonds. Is it the best trade? That's the question you really have to ask yourself. Is that the most and best thing out there to trade? I've said there's big volume down here. There's definitely someone catching the falling knife, meaning market makers building up inventory. But what if it's just a choppy mess? What if it's just a choppy mess? Because that's what happens. Bond, again, remember, bond, I won't even say fundamentals, but just what's going on in the bond market is not like things we've seen in the last 10, almost 20 years. No countries want to buy our bonds, right? Our government debt now actually has a credit rating risk, even though they'll print more money. But that's the problem. If we print more money to buy more bonds, do you really want to buy bonds? Because that means more inflation's coming. So this is the freaking pickle. And then you have the feds reducing their balance sheet. So they're not even backstopping bonds. Do you really want to buy bonds? You could argue it could be a head and shoulders bottom or inverse hold and shoulder. Whatever. Shampoo. But is this the best trade? That's the challenge I bring to you. Anyone who's like, well, should I buy bonds? If you want to park money, park it in a money market account. If you're really worried about it. But buying bonds, again, if rates go higher, your bond values will go lower. And if you have to sell them, you're going to be pissed. It's really that simple. So any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Again, this is always free rolling for you guys. This is why I do this. This is why I do this. People get, someone said, I think it was Jay Solstice, Apple 180s, looking very similar, looking like it. Here's some zone right here, zone of resistance. Again, green, like 9 out of the last 10 days. What do I expect from the CPI? I don't care. I don't do CPI expectants. Remember, second mouse gets the cheese. If we're up into CPI, I would expect down, though. If we hold up into the CPI, but if we start pulling back later today, tomorrow, it's a coin flip. But here's the thing. I don't want my trades to really be based on the CPI because, again, that's rolling the dice. I don't want, if I want my time frames to not matter, and that's another thing, about CPI, you could argue if the CPI comes in lower, well, is the economy falling off a cliff? And if the CPI comes in higher, oil prices holding up, are they sustainable? There's a million ways that the narrative can be spun, so I don't really want to think about what the market is going to do for the CPI. You have to take that mindset out of it. Yes, trying to just react. And so if you have a position in front of it, anticipate that it could do anything. And that's what protect yourself either way. Like that's always the safest thing. Or just give yourself time in a particular trade. Like if that's what you feel like you need. So it's a hard question because there's no right answer, right? Like it's like earnings. What do you expect of the reaction to Apple's earnings? I don't know. We all know the numbers. We all know what they're going to try to project. We all know what they're going to anticipate, like kind of say, but we don't know the reactions. Does that make sense? Make sense? Comprende? Right? Like that's the key here. Okay? Yeah, of course. And again, Pierre, I'm not like talking to you directly. I'm talking like in hypothetical. So hopefully it didn't feel personal in a sense of like attacking. Like I'm talking about like I have to recognize that in myself. You know, that it's the hardest thing, right? I mean, just because we're up a couple days, like people are like, the market's starting to rip or Apple's ripping. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess if you look at it from this point of view, it's on fire. Then you zoom out and you go, oh, it's just making lower highs and lower lows. It's channeling down. Maybe it needs to get to the top of the channel. I don't effing know. Maybe fills the gap in the channel? Question mark? I mean, it's always possible. So again, just take that mind of yours and shut it off sometimes to like your own beliefs. Like what's the voice inside you that needs to be right? Versus like, let's be more of a anticipatory of potentialities. Goog trying to break out. Volume is just dirt. I don't trust it. I mean, you shouldn't. Meta, kind of the head and shouldering, but right shoulder difficulty. Maybe, I guess shit. Retesting the high. I mean, you might as well call it a retest now. NVIDIA, here you go. Back testing the channel, right? Like Micron just can't even get up today, which is funny. FedEx, this is one I've got shorts on. Again, I'm not surprised. Like little chop action. Caterpillar really playing with our hearts, right? Defining the risk, but also had in my mind, like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the 20-day. I had that in my brain, maybe even the 50. So again, I'm anticipating anything is possible. I mean, like the financials up today. Okay, we talked about this yesterday, or not the other day. Sorry, I didn't do a recap in the afternoon. I was like, I just had too many things going on. Figured if you watch the daily chat, you saw it. Well, you're not getting too far from this area, right? Going into earnings coming up, maybe we pop for financials again. Because think about it, no company's gonna say, "Hey, the world's ending. Like we're sucking, we're going out of business," right? No one's gonna try to Lehman themselves or Bear Stearns themselves, right? So. If you have any other questions, again, please don't hesitate to reach out, get involved. Can someone wake me up when I fall asleep during the live recap? Can someone wake me up? Oh, I'm sorry, this is making you sleepy, man. If you have any questions, get involved if you got questions. I challenge people, like, if you have questions and you want answers, you want to make it more spicy, throw in some spice, throw in some comments. Again, I don't mind jokes. I don't take anything personally. I love when people honestly challenge my thinking because, again, it's hard to know there's no right answer. We're all sitting here arguing. SOX is a good swing trade at these levels. The SMH and the SOX OS, filling the gap. I guess now it's kind of could it hit the channel? That's always possible. It's channeling essentially. Is it a good? Depends on your time frame, right? Swing trade. Is it going to get over 151? Somewhere in the 10-9 level, I think. Yeah. You probably will see 12, 13, 14 if you're comfortable with that kind of return. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great trade, but it's just again, is it going to start today? That's the hardest thing. I hate to beat people over the head with sounding like a broken record, but that's just the reality. You need to realize sometimes the answer is the same. I just don't. Do you want to buy it today? I don't know. That's the question. That's your choice. That is obviously your choice. I don't know if that's right. Right? That's the hard part. Right? All right. So again, just be confident that you. And this is the best way. Be confident in your systems, not in your opinions and beliefs. That's something that most people can't do. They can't just be confident in their systems. They're like, well, I have to impose my will on the market. And I'm going to tell you right now, this motherfucker's going higher. Or I got to buy gold. Or I got to buy this. And I'm going to do that. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, come on, man. Please don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm not talking like you're consciously saying that, but somewhere in your subconscious and your like ego's like, yeah, we got it. We got this motherfucker. Right? Like, we all have some kind of a weirdness inside of us, you know, like that has like this fun and games mindset, right? Like, you know, we all think trading is a game, essentially, and it is, right? It's gambling. It's a gambling game. Let's not argue that. And so there is some part of like imposing your will, your ego, your will to survive is I'm going to make money kind of thing. So any other questions? Again, Bear. We know it's not your cover, but what do you think about layering into team? Team. Why do I not know team? Is this a joke? I'd laugh if it was. Layering in to a long or a short? What are we doing here? When you say layering in, implies a position, so okay. Yeah, it's not on my radar, but I mean, I can just look at it technically. Short. What is team? Atlassian course. Why do I feel like I know this, but I'm not, it's not ringing a bell all of a sudden. No, that's cool. No apologies, Ryan. Why do I not recognize this? Business. What do they do again? Software as a service cohort. What kind of software? I'm just curious again. I mean, I don't know. Are they a buyout target? This is the question, man. This is a low float. Not a lot of shares. I mean, it kind of looks like it just follows the market. Bottomed in November. Service. Sorry, I'm just, while you're typing potentially, I'm just kind of zooming through. I mean, yeah, it looks like it's dead. I mean, that's the thing, but this isn't, the world is crapping out and the market is going up. Like here, let's go stick with team, but then Carol, you and I will have a nice little chat about your comment because I think that's how a lot of probably people feel. This is hard, man. I mean, you're at a fib, the 0.25. I mean, clearly you have resistance here. I'd argue though that right here, right now, that's a tough one. That's the biggest thing is like, that's why I like shorty mega cap tech. Like they're not buyout targets. They're just not. This thing's gotten absolutely throttled. I mean, it looks like it goes down with the market. Like, I mean, it previously did. I mean, it went from 215 down to 184. I mean, going into earnings, it's tough because it's like, you know, Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, a lot of these big guys, like they're all up, like way up near the highs, right? Like they're all like way up here, you know? Like these names down here, you don't know what, I guess actually, do we know? It typically runs up. What's in October? Okay, last October it crapped the bed. This one's a tough one, you know. I might have to say I abstain. I mean, I can see why you'd like it up here. I mean, no one's gonna argue that. Like you got clear as day, like a little shoulder line here. I mean, maybe it's just one of those you layer in and you just put a tight stop and you say, well, layer in around 207 to 210. You put a stop at 213. I don't know, 212 maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. It's a good one question. I mean, I see where your head's at. It's just that's my only question about companies that are smaller in shorting is like, are they buyout targets? I mean, yeah. Let me stick to just Goog. Yeah, I know. I wish Goog would give it up. Give it up, Goog. Give it up for Ryan. Seems to not be. All right, Sox says, all right, the world is crapping out. The market is going up. I have a bear living in my attic just waiting to get out. I mean, hopefully you made money shorting. Yeah, of course, Ryan. I mean, that's a tough one, man. Like it's, I mean, I can see why you probably would want to ask about it. I mean, it's not apparent other than the spots. That makes sense. The market as a whole, right? Like, sorry, I got distracted. I'm always getting people chirping me. Chirp. Hey, this and this and that. Hey, Dan. Hey, I'll bring you 1,000 people to your Discord room. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. That's gonna turn into a shit show, but all right. We'll see about that. Living in a bear world, as we've talked about, the market has a tendency to what? And then, right? And the straight line move is at the end. Well, notice we're getting more aggressively up. Straight line moves lean to what? Probably another straight line move which way? I mean, maybe it's just literally like this. Zip, zabow, right? Zip, then maybe a chop, then kapow. Right? Here you go. A little pop and then kapow right back. Like, we will get a retest. Like, it's almost like inevitable. Like, we will, this 200-day is going to touch. I can almost see the future, but I don't know what time. Like, the world is not fixed. That's all I can really say at that point. I wish I could tell you. But these straight line moves are not normal, because in a bull market or a bullish move, it's slow and steady wins the race. And then it's down quick, right? Down quick that gets bought. This is way too steep in my opinion. Way too steep. Because all it takes is one little fart. Maybe not even a fart. It's like there's gas. There's like a gas leak. All it takes is a little something to like start the flow of selling. In the sense of, because think about why, right? Like, think about why. There's a lot more profits to be had. You don't want to be the last one. Like, if you're going up slow, you're not like that worried about a pullback. Does that make sense? Like, now there's building base. Like, there's no commitment to these levels because they didn't stay there at any point for accumulation. Like here, this is where volume price analysis, this kind of, hopefully this can make sense, right? Like, look at the 10-minute as we've been rallying. And it's hard, like, again, here's where all the volume is, but look, as we keep moving up, look at the volumes. Right? That's not commitment, right? You didn't give yourself time to build bases with secure amounts of volume and backfilling, right? Does this make sense, Carol, or anybody listening? Hello out there. Like, when you rally quickly, you don't allow for, it's almost like building a base and building the foundation of a move, and then the subfloor, and then building the next subfloor. Like, you're just running away. And then as soon as you pull back, those same people are like, ah! Because there wasn't really like this comfort of testing and back testing. I mean, look at this. Right off the rally, gaps down, right back, chop, 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 rally today. Hence why don't be surprised if we roll over. Now, again, how rollover is it? I don't know, but it could just be a correction today in the afternoon. That wouldn't surprise me. And could it be news related? That wouldn't surprise me. Could it be nothing related? That wouldn't surprise me at all either. Does this make sense though? Like, there's no commitment. This is all like trading action. This is all like squeezing emotional, I gotta get in. There's no testing of confidence along the way. Does this make sense? It's trying to be like funny but stupid at the same time. Right? Like, you're just run, sprint. You're going to get tired. And then you didn't backfill, and then you didn't sustain. And now, again, like, backfilling and holding is a sign of bullishness. But straight line moves, remember, in a primary trend, it's slow and steady. And the primary trend can be down or up. And the counter moves are what? Fast and aggressive. Does this make sense? That's why it almost confirms to me even more that things are bearish. Now, again, the only way, not the way, but the way that I think we would be wrong is if somehow liquidity comes in, like, they're going to just announce QE to support this and more war spending, $100 billion for this, and China stimulus 17.0 with 13 trillion yuan. Who the fucking knows, you know? Who knows? Yeah, 17 points straight. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's what I'm saying. It feels like more like short covering and aggressive, like panic buying. But if I'm the market maker, you kind of needed that because you got caught here absorbing some inventory. Wouldn't it be nice to just unload it? Unload it to people who are quick, or trying to move fast, or just anxious Nellies? We'll see. Shorting mega cap tech with SQQ or FNG. Yeah, I mean, FNG, I mean, any of those funds. I mean, if that's what you choose, yeah, I mean, they all have really, really good risk rewards, Pierre. I mean, I don't, again, just trade around them. Trade around them. Sell cover calls. Yeah, 438 could make sense. Like, it doesn't surprise me. And maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's like while we're talking, and then it's like, lunch is over. All aboard, ride up. Game over. Let's zoom out. Was the 100-day mattered? Not as much. It's mattered in the past. Remember the first bounce hit the 100-day? All right, maybe we need like the first major bounce needs to test it. We'll see. I'm just curious, like, get a glance at the keys. Excuse me. Let me clean this up real quick. Let me clean this up. Okay. Maybe it all 374. Maybe that's where it needs to go. And this is the thing. Please do me a huge favor. For the love of God. If it doesn't get there, please don't bring a ruler to trading. I mean, we have some really nice looking drawings. They look amazing, maybe. Like, that seems like the obvious spot. But does the market always go to the obvious spot? No. It doesn't. If it was, that would be just the easiest shit. Imagine if all you had to do is just wait for the market to get right here, right there, right now. Yes. It's so easy. Hit the easy button. That was easy. No, there's no easy button. That's what I challenge people. There's no easy button. Trading is easy. Executing things and thinking everything, certain things, that's the hard part. This is all in our mind, potentially, right? Netflix. Man, Netflix is just not chilling today. It's heading down good. We got one of the monsters heading lower. Any questions, thoughts? Because, again, I love these questions because, again, they expose to you more about yourself when I can talk about them, and then kind of my experience with this stuff. Because, again, I've been doing this 20 plus odd years. Again, I don't even know how to define, like, when I started. But I've just seen stuff that'll just, it's like, there's nothing new. Like, that's what Livermore said in the book. There's nothing new in the market. It's just different players. What's up, player? Different people. Does this make sense? People haven't changed. People are still stupid and emotional like they were in the 1800s, 1920s, 1930s, 40s, 50s, 70s. We all been. I mean, again, people are still emotional. Well, looking like we're getting a little weaker here, but we'll see. Maybe it's like, maybe I gave the secret up, and now the market makers are like, oh, we better get out. We gotta like provide just a little pullback to show people some value. We can't get right up to that trend line and then dump it on their heads. Let's get it close enough and then hold it there and get them buying that dip. Let's buy that dip, huh? We'll pull it back $1 on the SPY. Let's buy that dip. You guys want to buy that dip? Sorry, I got to make myself laugh. And then I guess, who said that? Iceman said, wake him up when he's not bored about the live recap. Oh, that hurt my feelings. Timeout. You can't hurt my feelings. I'm a robot. Right? Like, maybe they need to play this game and get people like, oh yeah, come on. But this is obviously after hours, so there's no volume at all. Jip, semis got the rocket juice today. But the thing is, the semis didn't have the rocket juice yesterday. And do they really have a ton of rocket juice today? I don't know. I mean, I've seen bigger rockets from the semis. I mean, you got Micron up 15 cents. Woohoo! You got NVIDIA up back at 460s. Okay, great. Intel up a little bit. Taiwan Semi up a little bit. Do they have a lot of juice? Or is it they're playing catch up from yesterday when they didn't have any juice? Notice yesterday they did not have any juice. Dab of the juice. Hope that helps. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? If not, I'll wrap it up. I think people prefer shorter videos. I don't, because again, I think there's a lot of value, and all it takes is one question to make the video even better for someone else in the future. Now, again, sometimes that's why I tell people, like, you don't have to like sit here and pay attention to everything. Just kind of listen to it in the background. But there might be a nugget in there, and it's like no different than me listening to the Liverboard book for the 1,000th time going, oh yeah, I remember that example. I remember that circumstance. Interesting. I wonder how that might apply to right now. Oh shit, it does. Right now. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I mean, I don't want to hold you guys hostage. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Feel free to chime in. No, of course, Ryan. Yeah, I mean, Tommy, if you're listening to this, you're talking about bringing people in. That's cool. I mean, if you want to bring people in, all I ask is that they're here to learn. They're not here to, like, coach others about systems and things that I would find to be like, well, that's pretty retail believing, or that's like common sense knowledge that would go against the 10 rules of trading, or like the stuff that's very, it's like, I'm trying to explain. Maybe here's a good analogy. It's like a college kid. Say you have a job at, you name the place, JP Morgan Chase. And this kid with an education that he got from Harvard shows up. Yeah, there is the dump. Who pooped? Let me go check briefing real quick. Any news? Any news? No. Well, there again, like you said, here could the dump. I'm talking about it anytime it could happen. Let me go back to my analogy while it's pooping. Some high-flying kid comes out of Harvard and wants to work at JP Morgan, and, well, you read this in a textbook. Well, hey, I've been investing for years, and I watched this on CNBC. And then they want to come into, like, JP Chase and be like, well, isn't this how we do things? Or they come in the Discord room and like, isn't that how the market works? And we're all like, yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah, that's how it works. It's that easy. Read a textbook. Figure it out. Or like your job. I went to a great school and I've got an education. I'm showing up to your work and I'm going to tell you how to do your job. You know how like a lot of the younger folks come in there like entitled, like, oh, I know everything. It's like, I'm sorry, you just can't know everything about the market because you haven't experienced the market. Or if you have, maybe you experienced it from the wrong perspective. Maybe you've been blue-pilled, red-pilled, whatever pill you want to talk about it. You don't even realize, like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Excuse my language. Oops. Does this make sense? Like, I really don't like people coming to the Discord room and like, well, I've done this and this is what has worked for years. And it's like, what do you mean worked for years? How long have you been trading? Okay, well, if you have a great idea, I'm not going to argue that. Because there's a million ways to skin the cat. But if you're like, well, this is what I saw in Benzinga or Alpha News or whatever the stupid, and again, like this is the facts. And then again, they're just like so oblivious to market makers, so oblivious that the market wants to take everybody's money, so oblivious that the time something news comes up, it's like everybody already knows. Apple just went red. Rojo. Any news that you guys know of? Let's go to the Twitter. Again, a lot of people hate X. That's I'm not really again, I'm not going to say I'm mad or sad about Elon and all this, but I'm going to give Elon some credit. Did anyone see this tweet? Now again, because you got to find comedy in life. Where's Elon? I thought this was rather funny. This is me. And not funny, but kind of like, yep. Because, they get attacked from all directions. And it's like, is X an anti-Semitic cesspool? Or is it a Zionist propaganda machine? right? Just because you live free flow of ideas, you're extreme. I would argue you're not. All right, any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Again, it looks like the market, I guess they heard what I was saying here. Someone will be like, oh, you caused the market to drop. I'm like, no. But someone probably is thinking the same thing. Just because everybody's thinking you got to hit some target doesn't mean you will. All right? Maybe this is just here you go. I'll end it with this if no one's got any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, prayers. Again, let's pray for everybody involved in the Middle East because, again, it just sucks. Maybe it's all it was is it just needed to trap over it. Get everybody like, oh, here we go, 100-day. It's coming, go on the 100-day today. Nope. It's kind of like Price is Right. Or no, not Price is Right. What's the show with Steve Martin? Or not Steve Martin, Steve Harvey. Survey says, no. Maybe not. We'll see. Let's go to the 10-minute. I guess I got 2 minutes. I'll just watch the 10 minutes, see if this keeps this big red keeps growing. Because there's probably something coming. Again, I'm not seeing anything yet. Anything? Any news? I'm not seeing anything. Which makes me believe that maybe the whale has just said, all right, we've gotten high enough. I don't care. I'm unloading. Does it make sense? Okay. No. Keep an eye on. This is why I like shorting things that are bigger parts of the market. Someone's going to... That's a lot of volume, actually, for a 10-minute candle. So if you're looking at this line, this is the 30-period average, which looks like 1,115,000. We're at 3 million and change, and this candle is about to end. I know you use fibs. How about resistance R1 S1? No, I've never really. Again, this is the thing, and if it works for you, I'm not going to try to challenge you on that. I mean, it might work. I've always said less is more. And meaning, like, if I put too many things in the charts, because I mean, some people have VWAP and they got all that stuff. I mean, again, it's what you feel is comfortable, right? There's not one right way to trade, right? Like if it works for you and it feels good, cool. With the R1s, the S1s, I mean, I've seen those works, but here's the thing, and I think we all can agree with this. A technical, smooth surface, moving average, fills gaps, hits fibs, hits the R1s, hits the VWAPs. All that stuff is cool and comfy when the VIX is low and the market's not emotional and there's no news. That stuff can kind of hit a groove at certain times of the year and when things are easy, right? Does that make sense, Carol? Again, it's sure whatever you think, but just be careful. Because there is times where emotions control price action. And no matter what you think, I think, we think, whatever you want to talk about, it doesn't matter. Like, remember, when people are emotional, like the action is just, it's not technical anymore. And that's where I try to figure out what's going to be the next emotional move. It's probably going to be a panic dump. Not panic buying, but we talked about there could be some buying because you have compressed here, going oversold, like fibbing out, or not fibbing out, but like ABC patterning, like A to B, B to C. These moves are almost identical size, so due to rally, well, you almost got all of this in 3 days. And look what happened last time. It went up and then gave it right back. Like I said, we will touch the 200-day moving average. I mean, just someone hit me up when we do. Be like, I remember you said on October 10th we'd hit it. Well, yeah, no, it didn't take rocket science. It didn't have to be a rocket physician, right? Does this make sense? I'm trying to connect here. Is this connecting, or am I just talking out of my butt? It seemed like it. I hope it helps. Seriously. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm kind of at this point where I wouldn't be surprised if they rope-a-dope some people in to buy here, and then we flop at the close, or there's a headline that comes out that something happened, and I mean, who knows? I mean, have they elected a Speaker of the House yet? Like, that's going to be a mess. Oh, Biden was speaking? Thanks, Simpatia. Thank you. Do you know what he said, if you have a second to type in? Because I'm clearly oblivious to what Smokin' Joe said. What did he say? A second war could erupt in Europe between Serbia and Kosovo? Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. All right, we're sending aircraft carriers. All right, Brock is speaking on... Oh, that's 20 hours ago. Anybody? Any bears still alive? No, I agree. Well, that's funny. Sorry, I'm not laughing at the market. I'm laughing at, again, I get distracted on Twitter like a little kid. Anybody? Anyone else? Let me see. Biden was speaking. Okay. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to try to figure out what he was saying. Clearly, the market didn't like it. Pretty sure he said something silly. Didn't make much sense, and then he fell down the stairs. Is that going to make someone mad? I don't know. I hope not. Again, I feel like the best comedy is just making fun of what's obvious. I had a buddy of mine who's like trying to like not be so serious, and he was telling me about this conversation with his wife, and I was like, can't you just turn things into comedy ever? And he was like, I don't know. And it's like, no wonder your wife gets mad, because you answer with logic versus like blow it off. And long story short, he like went upstairs to check on his son, and his son was like laying with a girl, like hanging out, and he didn't know it. And he barged in, and the wife was like, I told you he was there. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot. And it's just like so dumb, like just apologizing. And I was like, why didn't you just say like, I was just trying to make sure he wasn't getting laid? Like, just turn it into a joke. Just couldn't do that. Couldn't do it, you know. But no, he had to like apologize. I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, dude, she doesn't respect you, and you're like, your answers never challenge. You know, and I say challenge, like same thing. Like, you know, it could be a man or a woman talking to you. Like, don't always be so serious. Like, don't take things so personal, because if you take things personal, sometimes it looks like you're devaluing yourself. Oh, come on, what's the news? What is the news? Was it the bond auction? Hold on, time out. TLT. To the Batcave. Because there was a bond auction that just came out. Okay. Take care and thanks. Yeah, Carol, just do me a favor. I challenge everybody in this room. We all have to know what's going on in the world and the news, but don't let it ruin your day. I challenge you that. Be above it. Don't let other people's shit become yours. Now, I know it's easy to say, like, maybe you have families involved in this, but don't let it ruin your day. Be above it. Because I guarantee if I was over there, God rest my soul, if I ever die, I hope you guys do not cry over me. You find peace and love and happiness to talk about, not mourning over me and like mad if someone murdered me. I mean, hopefully that never happens, but you know what I mean? Like, try to find a positive in everything. And I'll end it on that. Positivity. Love you guys. I really do. I appreciate all the love, support. Someone sent me a nice little donation yesterday. I was like, man, that's really nice of you, because I imagine if you're short, you're probably not feeling so hot, but I understand. It's all love, y'all. Peace.